Sometimes I get depressed, I might overeat, I might not eat. Sometimes I get to buying shit that I don't even need, clothes that I'm never gonna wear. I get to entertaining old relationships and shit. Real ones know the shoes that I walk in. Had to make it out, I had no option. Hit the cell or the block or the coffin. Had to make it out, I had no option. Lock me up and throw away the key. Ain't no care.
Welcome to the Fuck Fentanyl podcast. I am Luis Romero. I am the Fuck Fentanyl guy. Today, I have a really special guest coming from Cocoa, Florida. This is my friend Karissa Foster.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm so much better now that I'm back in San Diego.
Yeah, back in O-side too. Your
Yes,
hood.
That's right.
So before we get started with Karissa, I do want to make an announcement that, like almost like a year ago or something like that, Karissa and me were talking about doing a podcast, and I knew she was coming back to San Diego, and I was totally all about it. And that's what kind of started that whole talk. And Karissa was, kind of got delayed a few times, and it happens. You'll hear more about that. But I got started with it a month ago, and got some of my friends, my models and people that were involved with Fuck Fentanyl from the beginning. But I did want to make the announcement that Karissa is going to be my co-host.
Hey.
Yeah. So, we're going to probably start it out a little light because she is getting back on her feet. But eventually, I definitely would love to have Karissa in all Fuck Fentanyl podcast episodes in the future. Woo! Here.
Okay.
Yeah. Congratulations.
That's right.
So, all right, Karissa. So, tell me, what was your life like growing up over here? Let's start it.
I'm so sorry. I have a very dark sense of humor.
Oh, me too.
So I have a photographic memory, and that doesn't mean that I remember everything, but the things that I do remember really stand out to me, and they're very vivid. I grew up in Escondido, which is really unfortunate. My parents were tweaking, most of my life, and it was really weird. I never felt like I fit in, and I have this very vivid memory of asking one of my friends when I was like 8 if she could come spend the night at my house, and she was like, "Yeah, I'll go ask my mom." And when she came back, she was like, "My mom said no because your parents are on drugs," and I was just mortified. And there was a lot of things growing up that happened in my house that I knew didn't happen at other kids' houses. It's like I grew up on top ramen. My dad was in and out of jail. My parents were always fighting. My dad sold drugs. There was always strangers in and out of our house. And I just generally grew up with this anxious feeling and constantly feeling like I have to protect myself and my little brother. Like I have a 3-year-old brother. I have a little brother that was 3 years younger than me.
Gotcha. Little guy.
Yeah, and so I always felt, I don't know if obligated is the right word, because I didn't like resent the fact that I felt like I had to take care of him, but I definitely felt protective over him, and I already had to take care of myself. So one would assume, I would have to take care of him too, because he was even younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was 8, CPS got involved, and
Oh, wow.
they removed me and my brother from the home.
Oh,
So
no way.
then I was like bounced around from Polinsky Center to group home to foster home to group home to foster
wow.
home. And yeah, that was a lot. When I was really little, when I was about 7, my little brother, his name was Ethan, he got diagnosed with cancer, and so we thought he was gonna maybe die. and that was one of my earlier traumas. And then I was sexually abused by a distant relative one of the times that
Oh,
my
wow.
dad was in jail. Yeah, actually,
Oh
I
my
think both of my
God.
parents were in jail for like a 6-month span when I was like 4 years old. So
Oh, wow.
the trauma,
And how old
like
were you when this happened?
4.
Oh my fucking.
So the trauma was just like very much from birth.
Yeah.
My parents were really young. My mom was 18 and my dad was 20 when they had me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were dabbling with meth like before I was born, but
Mhm.
after I was born, it just got so much worse. And
Yeah.
that's when I'm sure they started, slamming it. And
Yeah.
that's not to say that, meth isn't bad if you smoke it or snort it or whatever, but
Mhm.
I just think
It causes more dangers.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just brings like a whole nother element to
Yeah.
it and puts a whole nother level of severity on it.
Mhm.
So that, yeah, that was just like a cycle for my family. I mean, they got us back in their custody when I was 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, but within like 9 months of having us back, they had already relapsed and they were like, we can't take care of them. And they gave
Yeah.
us back to the foster care system.
They gave up.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
They were like, come get your kids, CPS.
Yeah. After all, we don't want them after all. You can go ahead and take them back.
Yeah, I was like, dog.
Fuck,
That's
dude.
kind of fucked up. But yeah, so we ended up, back in the foster care system. And at this point, I'm pretty sure I'd lived in every city in San Diego County. Like,
Mhm.
And I went to like plenty of different middle schools, but
Mhm.
around the time I started, like, because this whole time too, I was really under the impression that like if I was a good kid and got good grades and didn't, have any problems, that, eventually we would get to go home
Mm.
with my parents.
Yeah.
This is a very bizarre experience being in foster care, like
Oh, fuck
living
yeah.
with strangers and
Yeah.
like, there's different smells and different routine and different food. And you're just
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? It's just a shell shock,
Oh, fuck yeah.
But I'm grateful for it though. When I was like 12, my foster parents were Mexican and
No shit.
I learned a lot of Spanish.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and just Mexican culture in general. I went
Yeah.
to a lot of quinceañeras. I wanted for the longest time. I wanted to have a quinceañera because I just thought that was so cool.
Right.
So yeah,
They
I'm
get lit in
grateful.
those fucking
Yeah, hell
quinceañeras.
yeah, they do. And the food
Fuck
is
yeah.
so good.
Fuck yeah.
So yeah, I actually got to experience a lot of different cultures while I was
Fuck
in
yeah.
the foster care system, and I do think that that's pretty rad.
Yeah.
I'm a very well-rounded person. But yeah, when I was I went to middle school in National City.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah,
Right around my neck of the woods.
yeah, Granger. I went to
Oh, no
Granger.
fuck. Yeah. My cousins went to Granger. Lot of fun.
I was one of 7 white kids.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. They call you Weta.
Yeah, they sure did. What you looking at, white girl? Shit.
Oh, shit. You gotta start banging and all that.
Yeah. Like, oh my. But I think that's around the time that I started, like, becoming really resentful and just realizing that like my efforts were null and void. Like it didn't
Mhm.
matter how good of grades I got. Like,
Yeah.
this whole idea that I just wanted my family to be normal, quote unquote,
Mhm.
and I would pray all the time for
Mhm.
that. And when that didn't happen, eventually I was just like, I don't give a fuck about any of this. And like, honestly, I hate school anyway. I probably have ADHD already at this point, but
Yeah.
it's untreated. So
Yeah.
I would like, pass tests with flying colors all the time. But
Mhm.
when it came to homework, like do absolutely none of it. And then my teachers would be just like so frustrated with me, like, why? And I would be like, because I got bigger fish to fry at home.
Yeah.
So I got
Right,
plenty
right.
of other shit to worry about. And this doesn't even make the cut. Like,
Yeah.
I'm destined to go to prison anyway.
Oh man.
Like
Yeah.
I've been doing crime with my dad since I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
I've been the lookout. I've
Yeah.
done barcoding and just all
Mhm.
kinds. We used to go looting. Like when people would go to jail, we would go to their fucking houses.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
how
That does
that's how I
happen.
got my first cat. Like my dad was like, you could take whatever you want. And I was like, anything? And he's like, anything you can fit in your arms and carry out of here, you can have.
Fuck.
And I was like, well, I don't want the blow up doll, and so
The blow-up
what
doll.
do I want, And it was like a few VHS tapes and this fucking cat. And I was like, oh my God, I want the cat. And my dad was like, don't take the man's cat. Like, we're already
Oh, that
robbing
was
him
a
blind.
boundary that your dad
And I
established.
was like, no, it's all that I want. And so he was like, all right, you can take the cat.
Fuck
And,
you,
like,
take it.
it was this sick ass black cat that I named Midnight, obviously.
Midnight. I was about to ask what was the cat's name.
And that was my first cat. And I was like, yes, I got this from fucking
Midnight.
Tweaker Joe or whatever the fuck his name was. And
Your
he's
Midnight
locked up
Foster.
now. Yeah.
Dude, fuck yeah.
So, I was, at like 7 or 8 years old, I had it in my mind anyway that I wanted to be a con artist when I grew up because I just thought that shit was sick,
Yeah.
Coming up was
The appeal.
dope.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think I started fucking around between like 8th and 9th grade. I didn't want to go into freshman year as like a rookie in my mind. Like that was going to happen if I didn't like get it together. Because up until that point, I was pretty much a loner or I was bullied a lot.
Really?
Like it was, one of the two. Because for a long time, I was really like, awkward socially. Like, I was very like an introspective person. Like I was quiet and reserved and stuff. And it was mostly because I was like constantly in fear of like what the world thought of me. Cause I knew I was that poor kid and I had like fucking busted ass clothes and shit. And then I was always the new girl cause I was always transferring schools like 3 times throughout the fucking year. Like by the time I got into adulthood, like I have been enrolled in 30 different schools throughout San Diego County and the Inland Empire. I've gone to school in fucking Riverside too. Like
Ooh,
Jesus
shit.
fucking Christ. So yeah, I wanted friends and I wanted to like fit in and I just had this preconceived notion of like, well, when people do that, they drink and they do drugs. And so I started like stealing cigarettes and that progressed to like stealing beer. And I don't think I got drunk like the first time I ever drank or anything, but the first time I did get drunk, I remember thinking, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. Like, this is what I'm meant to do and I don't ever want to stop. And like there was some
How
red
old were you when
flags
you
early on.
when you were
I think
drinking?
I was 12,
Oh,
maybe
12.
13.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like around the same age I was drinking.
Yeah, like I was like, I don't know, something just switched in me where I was just like, I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
And like I was really kind of bent about like the cards I had been dealt, and all this resentment started like coming up in me. Like I don't know, maybe it was there all along and I just didn't acknowledge it. But at this point in time, I was just like, dude, I can't even like live with my family. Like this is so fucked up. And I was just looking to like not feel like that and not think about that shit. And so I started drinking and smoking weed, and it wasn't like a problem necessarily in the
Social.
beginning. Yeah, like it was a weekend warrior type situation, but it progressed quick as fuck. Like, at one point when I was like 15, my parents got custody of us again. So we went home, but like as soon as my dad, like my mom was doing good. My mom was sober. She was like had a job at Big Lots, and she was going to college. She was going to Miracosta, which is the school that I go to now.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, she was doing really good, but per the usual, my dad got out of prison and he came home, and like, shortly after that they started using together, and then my house is the trap house again. And fucking SWAT's busting in there, and there's guns, there's people fucking shooting dope.
Traffic.
There's some dude on fucking the FBI's top 10 most wanted list.
Really?
Yeah.
Top 10.
Yeah. The cops are like coming at me about it, and I was like, bro, I don't know. I just play Tony Hawk Pro Skate and fucking smoke weed and drink. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I work at Popeyes and I fucking go to school. Like,
Goddamn.
But like at that point, my parents, I don't think they felt like they could really control my behavior, because I was like, you guys kind of fucked off my whole existence. So I was like allowed, and I had them convinced that I was still doing well in school. So to them, that was like the ultimate, like,
no, you're doing good.
Priority.
Yeah, you're doing good.
So my mom was like, yeah, whatever. Like, you got your tongue in your belly button pierced, chill. Like, you drink, chill, I'll buy you cigarettes. I was like, sick.
You were not doing like the same thing they were, where with the hard drugs. So they're just like, oh, fuck,
right.
Cool.
They were like, oh, this is not that big of a deal.
Yeah, not that big a deal at all.
She's kind of responsible.
Yeah, right. Keep at it.
And then, but my 18-year-old friends, they were allowed to fucking come buy dope from my parents if they had like ID on them.
Really, they checked
the moral code, like wild, wild.
Well, you are a legal adult. Here's your methamphetamine.
Yeah. So my life was crazy.
Yeah.
And around that time too, so what happened? Oh, a teacher at my school, like, that I had confided in, that my parents were shooting dope.
Yeah.
She was all taken aback, and I was like, I just thought I was just venting. I didn't think she was gonna like go and tell the principal.
Oh.
She like, she's
thought
a
it was
normal
like
adult, like obviously she's gonna protect me. But in my mind, I was just like, bitch, I wasn't telling you that to go tell the whole world.
Yeah.
I was just venting.
She straight snitched on you.
Yes. My social worker showed up at school to pick me up and like take me back to Polinsky Center, and I was like, that fucking bitch.
Oh, wow.
She snitched on me. So whether or not it was in my best interest, to this day, I don't know. But this is how my life went. So I went back to Polinsky Center, and I fucking AWOL'd from there too. And like, AWOLing is what they call when you run away from like lockdown facilities. And that kind of became my favorite thing. I was like, oh my God, like, this is like Prison Break, you know? Like, once again, I'm in this mindset of like, I'm this fucking con artist. And I wanted to be a drug dealer. I was like, yes, like I've got it all figured out. Like, fuck school, I'm too cool to go back. And at that point in time, anyway, I was only going to school like once a week, because I started going to continuation school when I was 15. I went to Sunset in Encinitas, and then like I went there for like 3 years, and which is like the longest I'd ever gone to any school. And the first day of senior year, I got kicked out because they were like, bro, like you haven't done shit since you've been here. Like, it's a credit school, so like, you're supposed to go there and like get your shit together. And like they were like, you have a credit for art class and for group.
Ooh,
and that's it in the past 3 years. And I was like, yeah, my bad, dog. Like, I really hate school.
Well, then they send you to the funner schools.
Yep, the Timid and North Coast. And I only had to go to school for like 2 hours.
2 hours,
a week.
yeah.
And so,
they call it Learning Center. And,
I was like, I'm going to go to school today. And then I would get stoned and be like, nah, I'll go tomorrow, But, so yeah, that was kind of like when I really stopped caring. I mean, shortly after I started drinking and doing, smoking weed, I started doing coke. Like somebody offered me coke one time, and I was like, I don't do drugs. Like I don't do real drugs.
That's a narcotic, hardcore
Yeah,
narcotic.
and they were like, well, you listen to that song "Ayo for Yayo" all the time, and I was like, I don't know, dude. I just like that song.
Wow,
Like,
that's a pitch.
Yeah, like low key in the back of my mind, I was like, I didn't even know that meant that. Like,
That's
I
felt
just listened to Andre
oh yeah,
Nicotino.
of course I listened to that song.
Yeah, everybody listens to that song, man. But I don't want to look like a bitch either, so I fucking did the line, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't even really feel a difference. It's whatever. But like, I didn't sleep.
It's a
The next morning I threw up, and I just remember thinking like, I can't believe I did drugs last night.
Yeah.
And like that was just playing in my head all day.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, everything I tried was like, I love it. I love it. I just have an addictive personality. If I do like something, I'll overdo it. Everything. And in retrospect, I've always been like that. Like especially like sweets. Sweets was my first addiction. Like chocolate, candy, shit like that. Like because I never got it, and when I did, I would fucking eat it to excess, and I would end up getting sick like a lot when I was a kid, and I didn't really think about that or put the pieces together until I got sober. But like, fuck, I've been doing this since I was like, 3 or 4. Fucking, if I would find sugar that I wasn't supposed to have, like sweets, fucking cookies, whatever, I would eat them until I would get sick to my stomach and puke. Like, just addict behavior from the jump, So, but yeah, around that time, my parents got kicked out of that fucking trap house in Vista, the Legoland apartments. Anybody from North County knows.
Legoland.
We used to call them the Legoland apartments. Yeah, that's just what they fucking look like. They're like on Nettleton, this street that's like across from the Star Lodge, which is the most shot out fucking motel. And like at the time, we had like, the fucking feds and shit fucking camped out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because my dad had all these guns and stuff. Allegedly.
Yeah, sure.
And it was a trap house. But they got kicked out. They were fucking homeless, but I was still wanting to live with them, So I evolved from another group home, and I was drunk one night, and we were staying at the Motel 6 on College in the 78.
Okay.
So busted. And,
it sounds like it's busted.
Yeah, it's fucking ratchet. But I went out drinking with some friends one night, and I drank like so much Jägermeister. Ugh, it makes me sick to my stomach to think about. I hate it. I hate it. But it goes down so easily.
Yeah, it does. Jaeger bombs.
Yeah. Anything with alcohol goes down easily for me. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I was really wasted, and I just remember like I couldn't understand what the lady at the front desk was telling me, because I was trying to find my parents. My brother was still in foster care, so he was in an all boys group home in San Diego. And I was staying with them though, and I was drunk, and I was trying to ask the lady at the front desk, like, where are my parents? Because, like, they weren't answering the door. And so what the fuck's going on? And I don't, to this day, I have no fucking idea what she said, because all it came out like was Charlie Brown's teacher. All I heard was wah, 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 wah. And I'm like, bro, speak English. And she was like, blah, 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 cops. And I was like, I heard that. So so I went out the front door, and there was this huge dude in a fucking Cadillac that was like, do you need help? This is the kind of shit that I can get myself in when I'm that fucked up. And I was like, yeah, I do need help. Like, yeah, I'll get in your car, no problem. Yeah. And he was showing me like this huge rock, and I was like, is that coke? Give me some. I need some, because I was like, tore back. And the next day I woke up, and I was in one bed, and he was in another bed with a baby.
Oh,
and he was like, the rock I was showing you last night was crack, and I was explaining to you that I sell crack, and you were telling that you were agreeing to watch my daughter. This is my daughter.
Oh.
And I was like, a kid? Like, nah, man, I didn't do that. And he was like, yeah, you did. He's like, your name's Karissa Foster, and you go to Sunset High School, and you get out at 12:45, and this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh, all right, well, I guess I did fucking agree to watch your kid, you know?
Wow.
Like, what is the payment arrangement that we worked out?
Yeah.
And he was like, just that, like, you could stay here instead of your parents' hotel room, only you can drink brandy and smoke weed and fucking I have food and I'll buy you whatever you want, like makeup, clothes type shit. I was like, well, that sounds like a deal, my man.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I'll be here after school.
I'll be your
gotta go. Like, catch
I'll
you
be
later.
your crack babysitter.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds like a solid dad. So that's how I met that dude, and ended up coming out later on. And I got a hold of my parents, and they had just moved to a different hotel. So,
okay.
But I was like, but I'm gonna stay with this dude because he has food and weed.
Yeah.
So
yeah. All I need, baby.
Yeah. And I'm drinking brandy and I'm watching his daughter, and it's chill. And my parents were like, all right, are you sure? Like, and I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine. Like, I've been an adult since I was born, you know?
Yeah, right.
So I was doing that for a while. And it came out that he's actually a pimp and
wait, what?
a crack dealer. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
And actually, I don't know. Maybe it was the same teacher that snitched on me. I don't remember. I think it was, but like I had told her his actual name and like all the shit that was going down and like what he did for a living.
Yeah.
And the school principal and the school cop like came and talked to me about him, and they were like, this guy's dangerous, like he's grooming you to be a prostitute and all this shit. And I was just like, nah, I'm just watching his daughter.
He's a very nice pimp.
Nah, yeah, he's the homie.
Yeah.
Turns out they were right.
Oh no, they were.
Yeah, totally.
He wasn't a nice pimp.
No,
he had
not
bad motives and intentions.
He was a fucking psychopath.
Oh shit.
No, he sexually assaulted me at gunpoint. So
oh wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That was when I was 15, and
oh my fucking God, are you serious?
Yeah. And he was definitely trying to get me. And I would try to drink every day to the point of like being okay with being a prostitute. And I'm not knocking anybody that has done that or does do that. I give them all the credit in the world because it's insanely difficult to do that.
And this man forced you to do that?
Yep. Yeah.
Jesus.
So, but he was trying to convince me to be a prostitute, and I couldn't get drunk enough to do it. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And after that happened, though, the assault, I waited until he was on a crack run the next day, and we were like living in some fucking trap house in the Deep Valley.
Yeah.
And I just dipped. Like, I literally.
Well, yeah.
Whatever I had, I think I had like some, a few dollars in quarters in my pocket, and I ran to the payphone. Like, for all of you that don't know,
yeah. There's a thing called a payphone.
Before cell phones were a thing, like I had all my homies' numbers memorized. Because I used to have a list to the payphone.
We used to have our phone numbers in a list if you didn't remember it. And you would go to this thing called a payphone.
Yeah, and you would put quarters in.
It was in a booth sometimes.
And you would have a little 5-minute phone call. Or So I ran to a payphone, called a friend, dipped out of there, thank God. Eventually I ended up, strung out on meth. Like, somebody was like, oh, I don't have coke, but I have meth. And I'm like, whatever's clever.
Whatever you got.
And then I had my stint with ecstasy, and at that point I was like, I did drop out of school because I was like, I don't give a fuck. And my boyfriend was a fucking coke dealer and an ecstasy dealer, and I was a real trap queen.
Yeah.
Loved it. I was like, this is the motherfucking life.
I got it going on.
Yeah, until ecstasy, pretty much, like, I thought that I was gonna be like permanently messed up from it. Like, I was gonna be e-tarded.
Really? E-tarded.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that one before.
Yeah, because I was doing it like every other day, every 3 days, and just like,
it would cause a lot of
obsessively, brain damage. And I started having, having panic attacks like constantly, to the point of like I pretty much became agoraphobic, and that was the first time that's when you're like afraid to leave your house.
Okay, gotcha.
So I just like would never leave my house because every time I did, I'd have a panic attack and I'd want to go right back home. Um, so that was the first time I went to rehab. Like I went to this dual diagnosis crisis center in Oceanside, and
Oh shit! And you were still 15?
no, I was 18 at this
18.
time.
Okay, so you're an adult now.
Yeah. And they were amazing. I wanted to stay there so much longer than I could. Just like you could only stay there for like 14 days, but I was like,
Oh, really?
no, please. Like,
Yeah. I don't have nowhere else to go.
I really love it here. Oh, don't make me go. I love doing art therapy and talking to my psych. It's so good. So, but yeah, that didn't work out, and because I was really in denial about my drinking.
Yeah.
Like when I went there, I remember like they were telling me that, I can go to AA meetings, and I was like, fuck that. Fuck your weird ass, corny ass little circle.
Telling an 18-year-old go to AA is not
that's not gonna do shit for me. Like in my mind, it was just a bunch of losers that sat in a circle and talked about their feelings, and I just thought that was the dumbest shit. No, thank you. I don't even believe that you guys are fucking sober. Like that's so weird, And so I went back out there, and did the same old shit for the next 3 years or so, and I ended up getting a DUI, and I got mandated to go to AA meetings.
Oh,
and
okay.
I knew a couple of people that did. I think I posted on like Facebook and was like, "Does anybody go to AA? 'Cause, like, I have to go,"
Right.
And
run a little company.
Yeah, my friend Sean from high school was like, "I'll pick you up on Tuesday."
Oh, Sean T?
Yeah.
Okay, I know who you're talking about.
The lunchbox. That's my boy.
That's right. Fuck yeah.
He used to buy me fucking cigarettes because he was like 18 when I was in high school, and I was like 15. He's like 3 years older than me.
Wow.
We went to the same high school.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, so he picked me up for a meeting, and then he dropped me off at 7:00 at the beginners meeting in Oceanside on Tuesday nights. And he was like, "Good luck. Like the meeting starts at 8," and then like left, and I was like sick.
Whoa. That's not cool.
No, he was gonna come back and pick me up, but he had some service commitment. I didn't know what any of that meant.
Yeah, at the time you're like, "Yeah, this guy's a douche."
For real, fuck you, bro. Like, I don't even want to be here. I remember I was wearing pajamas and a hoodie, and I was wearing headphones that are literally as big as these because I just like didn't want to talk to anybody, and I had every intention of drinking as soon as I left there. But the only thing I remember from that meeting was that I heard the words pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization. And I remember thinking like, that is my life, and I've never resonated with something so much. And also all of the people, all the young people there, which was so weird to me. Like I was saying, you're all sober.
Yeah.
And you like hang out sober together. Like, what do you do?
What do you
You play checkers. Like it was so mind blowing.
Your lives are over, guys.
Yeah, I'm like, this is the girl. Like, I would get genuinely upset in high school when people wouldn't ditch with me to go get loaded. Because I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, I just told you I have booze, or I just told you I have blow, or I've told you I have weed. Like, why the fuck would you ever prioritize school over that?
Yeah. What the fuck, man?
It makes no sense to me. Yeah, loser. So yeah, I was really taken aback by these kids that like were sober and then hung out together sober, and they invited me to like go get tacos at Cabo after the meeting, and I was like,
what?
Yeah, I was so conflicted because like half of me was like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I totally want to go, and the other half of me was like jealous in this weird way, but like I couldn't let them know that I was jealous of them because they were weird. But I went and got tacos with them, and that was like my first exposure to like young people's AA, and
wow,
it
that's
was
so
like
cool.
so weird. And it took me a while. Like That was like summer 2011.
2011.
Yeah, but it took me, I didn't get sober until August 20th, 2012.
Okay, so you were a
Um,
little in and out for a while.
yes, because the thought of committing really freaked me out, and so I never wanted to get to 30 days because then I just thought
Oh,
like,
okay. So,
well, now I have to be accountable to these freaks,
yeah,
But I
right.
don't want to. I don't know how. Like mainly, it was that. It was like I don't know how to be sober. My world has never offered that. I've never seen that.
hmm
So it was just I was at the jumping off point and I didn't
Yeah.
even know it, but I was just so torn between worlds.
Uh,
And
so
I
they
was
were planting seeds
yes,
for
yes,
a minute.
for sure. And
I
I tried to rebel against every single one. Like they were like get a sponsor, but make sure that it's a woman and I was like, "All right, sick. Sean, will you be my sponsor?"
He told me this. I talked to him a little bit ago. He told me that, and I'm like, really? So she had a male sponsor.
Yeah,
Interesting.
because I was like, nah, I hate women. Like, for real, for real.
All right, homie.
Yeah. And he said he would. And like, so technically he was my sponsor for like 24 hours. But then I kind of felt
Oh.
retarded and I was like, this isn't going to work if I don't like do it the right way. So when I finally decided, like, this is it and I'm going to get sober for real, I knew that I had to do it the right way.
Yeah.
So I went up to this chick that was in roller derby
Mhm.
and is like 5 inches taller than me, and
Okay.
so a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, intimidating. Yeah.
Her name's Dawn, and I
Uh-huh.
was like, "Will you be my sponsor?" And it just felt so awkward and unnatural.
Was she also like young like you, like similar?
Yeah. I want to say she's like a little bit older, but not much. Like, I think she's maybe like 10 years older than me.
Okay, that's not that big.
Yeah, so she's maybe like early 30s,
Early
and
30s, okay.
I was 21, which is
Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah. I do wanted to say like because I wasn't really familiar with young alcoholics meetings. I only started going to those like maybe past year, and I they're fucking wild as fuck, dude.
Yeah.
they get really carried away, but I always just admired that, like, wow, like it's so cool, that like you get these fucking sober fucking youngsters and shit,
Yeah.
like all together. Like I really like, just a part of me just thinks that's really fucking rad because when I first
Yeah.
went to AA, I was 20. And I went to the South Bay Pioneers at a nooner, and it was like a bunch of fucking old fucks,
Yeah,
three
they're
times
like
older than
85.
yeah, like all retired and shit because they have nothing else to do on a fucking noon on a Tuesday.
Never even seen a meth pipe.
Yeah, is that too, and and I when I first went in there, I definitely felt like I couldn't relate at all. Like I was like, I
Right.
do not belong here at all. But the
Yeah.
irony is that I end up getting a sponsor much later in life that is an older man that works at the South Bay Pioneers.
Nice.
But yeah, I did I always I admire that. I admire that whoever started that and the people that keep it
Yeah.
going. It's fucking awesome, man.
Right, because I mean, I was so under the impression that like fun was no longer to be had, and I was probably never gonna dance again, and
Yeah.
just all
Yeah.
these stupid things that I thought that were just totally wrong, and I thought they were all weird, and
Mhm.
they didn't have fun, and you know, I don't know what I thought, but I just thought that sobriety equaled misery, but
Yeah.
it was better
Right?
than the
Like, how
misery
the
that I was
fuck?
going through, So I was like, I don't know.
Like, I don't want to be depressed for the rest of my fucking
Yeah,
life.
I guess I'll take this misery over that misery because
Yeah.
this misery is gonna land me in jail if I don't get my shit together,
That too.
and whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah, so what got you sober like when you were 20?
Okay, so yeah, I started for real when I asked Dawn to be my sponsor.
Mhm.
Then that like had a snowball effect on me, like taking other suggestions
Yeah.
and doing them the right way. Like I got a commitment.
Oh,
I
okay.
started going to I think I went to well over 190. Like,
Wow.
they say, 90 meetings
90,
in 90
90, yeah.
days. Well, I was sometimes going to 2 meetings a day.
Mhm.
So I was just filling up my time. And at the time I worked at Del Taco, and
Oh
I
yeah.
went to meetings, and, I lived with my parents. So, and they had kind of gotten their shit together when I was like 18 or 19. They stopped
Were they supportive of
using.
you, like getting clean and
Yeah,
sober?
yeah, for sure they were. My mom was blown away that I actually liked AA, because she just thought that I was going to hate it,
Yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah.
about it, because I was so rebellious, and,
Mhm.
you're not going to tell me what to do.
Mhm.
But it wasn't, they didn't need me, I needed them. And my sponsor got to it right away with the demands, like, are you willing to do whatever it takes to stay
Oh
sober?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you betcha.
Anything.
Yeah. And it was like the first time I met up with her to like talk about the steps. I smoked a cigarette. She didn't smoke. And I put it out on the ground, and I like left it there, and she was like, pick that cigarette butt up and throw it away. And I was like, what? But at the same time,
Wow.
I was doing it. And
Yeah.
it was just, I was so desperate for what they all had.
Mhm.
The stuff that like that's not in the book. Like, you can just tell when somebody's aura is just like radiating joy and success.
Yeah.
That's what I was jealous of. That's
Yeah.
what I was, attracted to.
Yeah.
And so I just did it, and I just started doing the steps, and I started working them like so thoroughly. When I got to my fourth step, like I started from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, my first resentment was when I was 5 years old, and I
Mhm.
went over to this little girl's house that I was friends with. I had this piece of chocolate cake. I'll never forget this bitch.
Yeah.
She'll forever be on my fourth steps. And I had fuck her.
I appreciate the honesty.
People don't forget. I have this piece of chocolate cake, and it had a maraschino cherry on top of it.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I'm gonna go share this cake with my friend.
Mhm.
But never did I ever think what was gonna happen.
Uh-huh.
But I knocked on her door. She
Yeah.
opened her door.
Yeah.
She took the maraschino cherry off my cake.
Uh-huh.
She ate it, and I was like, that
Uh.
fucking whore. And I cried and I cried, and I walked all the way home thinking, how could she ever do that to me?
Oh my god.
That was my first resentment. That was on my fourth step. Like, I didn't
fuck
leave
yes.
anything out. I put dentists on there. I put spiders
The
on
assholes.
there. I put the CPS system on there.
Yeah, get those
The
fuckers.
system in general. Fuck the police.
Yeah. They were on my fourth step, for sure.
Yeah.
Chula Vista Police Department.
Yes. Everyone.
you on that,
Everyone and
fucker.
anything was on my fourth step. I had 198 resentments on my fourth step.
I see.
So
Very thorough.
yes. And I started to have a spiritual experience. People started coming up to me when I was about 9 months sober and telling me that they just noticed this huge change in me and stuff. Or,
Wow.
like when I first met you, I thought you were going to stab me.
Well, I was, but
Very
you know.
well. I do feel stabby sometimes. So, yeah, my life started to expand, and sooner rather than later, I stopped having the obsession to drink and use. It was crazy. Because how I was saying when I was 18 that I was really in denial about my alcoholism.
Yeah.
Like, that caused a delay in my sobriety for a long time, because it took a while for me to realize and accept that, somebody asked me one time, trying to figure out what my drug of choice is.
Yeah.
Okay, there's every drug known to man on the table,
Mhm.
and alcohol and weed and whatever,
Yeah, of course.
you can think of. And what are you going for first? And my mind is always alcohol. And then it avalanches into other stuff. Like,
Yeah.
once I take a drink, the drink takes me, and then all bets are up. I don't care. I'll do any drug, you
Yeah.
know? If you got it and it's free and you're sharing, like, I'll do anything. Heroin, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, as long as
You
I
want
don't
some
have
black
to
tar heroin?
feel. Yeah, for sure I do. If
I'll
I
share.
snort it or smoke it, like, I'm so down.
Yeah.
Even shit you're not supposed to snort or smoke. I mean, I've tried.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I started working in treatment. I I got my GED.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I bought my first car. Like things started to really
Wow.
take off for me. I
Wow.
got in a really toxic fucking relationship,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
We all do that. Yeah. Got check that one off the list, too.
I dated a narcissist.
Yes.
It was wild. But really, the things that kept me sober are still the things that keep me sober today, and that's rigorous honesty. You know, even when I feel like using, I tell somebody about it,
Mhm.
whether it be my sponsor or my friends that are in recovery or, you know, coworkers.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I work with people that are in recovery and sometimes people that aren't in recovery, bunch of therapists, you know.
Mhm.
I've been working in mental health and substance abuse for the past 10 years.
Wow.
And that was all great. And yeah, my life was beautiful.
Mhm.
And then I got pregnant with my twin
Ah,
sons.
your 2 boys.
Yeah, at the end of 2020.
Oh, okay.
And so going into 2021, you know, and I was with their dad, and he was using, and
Using fentanyl.
yeah, at the time I thought it was heroin.
Well, that's not that
that
bad.
makes it any better,
Yeah, it's
but
not that bad. Less overdose rates.
right. But like fentanyl wasn't like I didn't really know about it
Oh
too
yeah,
much,
yeah.
you
It was
know?
flooded by then, but
Yeah.
but it wasn't common knowledge.
Yes, I wasn't really thinking about it like that. And I definitely didn't know that it was just like being put in everything, you
Yeah.
know? Because it just never crossed my mind. Like, why would you want to do something? Like, that's so gnarly, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, I'm
yeah.
trying to get fucking lit, but I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm trying to die all the
Yeah.
time, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was really in denial about that because
Mm.
I just thought like, okay, well now I'm pregnant, so like
Yeah.
you got to get it together because
Right.
you know I'm
Right. No,
pregnant.
yeah. No, absolutely. That's the first thing that would
Yeah,
come
so
into our
I'm
head.
just thinking, you know, and obviously I come from a long line of like toxic relationships, so
Mhm.
I do have a soft spot for fucking dope fiends. I always have.
You're not
So
alone in that department.
right. So I'm just like going with the and I'm still at this point going to meetings, working steps, and you know I've sponsored other women.
Mhm.
I don't think I touched on that. I don't
Okay.
think I was sponsoring anybody at the time, but
Okay.
I have sponsored other women
Yeah.
and had all kinds of commitments.
So
And
you would tell
been
another woman like,
involved.
"Hey, this isn't good. This isn't good."
Yeah, maybe if I did have a sponsor at the time. But yeah, so June 11th, 2021, my aunt called me. I was supposed to go to my parents' house that day and buy food stamps for my dad.
Okay.
Ghetto living.
You gotta do what you gotta do for them
Yeah,
Romans.
my dad was always selling his food stamps so I could go buy them for 50 cents on the dollar, you know? So like, of course I'm going to go buy fucking $40 worth of food stamps because it's $80 worth of food stamps.
Yeah.
Um, But I was supposed to go do that, and I was tired. I was pregnant. I mean, pregnant with twin boys.
How
I was
far along were you?
huge. I was 7 months.
Oh yeah, so you
Yeah.
were
I
you were
was
really
hurting.
pregnant.
I was getting stuck in the bathtub on a regular basis. Pregnant. So yeah, and I was supposed to go over there, and I thought it was kind of weird that like my brother had just gotten out of jail, and he
Mhm.
was staying with my parents too,
Okay.
in Vista,
Okay.
and I thought it was weird that my mom, my dad, my brother, like nobody called me to like, hey, aren't you coming over today?
Yeah.
But I was just tired, and I was staying in La Jolla at the time, and I was like, I'm pregnant. I don't want to. I'll go over there tomorrow or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And my aunt called me, and she was like, they weren't. I'm so sorry that they weren't able to revive them, and I was so confused.
Yeah.
I've never been more confused. I just started screaming at Tim to come take me to the hospital. In my mind, I was like, they all overdosed. Okay, that's fine. Like,
Mhm.
I knew they were using together. I didn't know to what extent,
Yeah.
but this has been a common theme. You know what I mean? This isn't the first time they've been getting loaded together.
Yeah.
My mom had just the year before overdosed on OxyContin and went to the
Okay.
hospital, and so for a split second, my mind just thought they just overdosed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and so I
And they'll
called her
get brought
back.
back, and
Yeah,
no
I
problem.
called her back. Like, well, what hospital are they at? And she
Yeah.
was like, I think they took them to Tri City. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I'm like yelling at Tim, like, come take me to the hospital. And then it dawns on me, and she calls me back, and she says the same thing, like, they weren't able to revive them. And my whole world crumbled, fell to my knees, and I was just in shock and misery. My mom, my dad, and my brother all died that day from fentanyl poisoning, and I was so scared of what to do. I didn't know what to do with myself. I just said, take me to the hospital, because I didn't feel safe in my own body. Like, to this day, I think if I wasn't pregnant, I maybe would have killed myself, or I for sure would have relapsed at the very least. I definitely wanted to die. It was gnarly. It was way gnarly, especially because I was pregnant.
Yeah.
A lot of hormones, and just the thought that my family would never meet my sons, it just tore me apart.
Yeah.
So I went to the hospital. I really thought they were going to give me a Xanax at the very least.
Give me something here.
Come on,
This is a lot of trauma.
If anybody gets a freebie, it's me right now. But I really wasn't thinking about that I'm pregnant. So they're like, yeah, we're not going to give you a Xanax, bro. They were like, best we can do is stop this early pregnancy from early labor from coming on.
Yeah.
And I was like, fine, fuck.
Oh my
So they gave
God.
me like some medicine to stop me from going into preterm labor, because I was like, stressing the babies out.
Hyperventilating and
Yeah,
under all
and I
this.
knew like I needed to like chill, like for the sake of my children. It's amazing what mothers can do. Like, props to fucking all the good moms out there, because I
Fuck yeah.
would only allow myself to get upset for a certain period of time. Like, I would maybe cry for like 5 minutes at a time, and then I would really be like, get it together for your kids. Get it together for your kids. Like, every day.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had my sons, and a month later, and by C-section.
Okay.
And that was fucking rough.
Yeah.
I mean, I was still grieving.
Yeah.
I had the worst postpartum depression and anxiety.
Oh,
that I
fuck.
could
Yeah,
ever
shit,
explain.
man.
And they had just cut me open to get them out. So
Yeah.
I'm recovering from C-section.
Yeah.
I'm staying in my fucking cousin's 1-bedroom apartment. We're renting out her room, me and the babies.
Mm-hmm.
My baby daddy at this point is fucking maybe coming to help me every other week for a night,
So he was already...
and I don't even know.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't even know that he's just strictly like doing fentanyl.
Yeah.
So when I find that out, I'm like, okay, well, you can't come see my kids, so you can't fucking come help me with them, because you could kill them.
Yeah.
And they're
absolutely.
they're preemie babies. Like, my babies were 5.5 pounds when they were born.
The last thing you want your newborn babies to be around is a fentanyl.
Yes, they're all I have in this world at this point, at least how I feel. And it was gnarly. I managed to stay sober though.
Yeah. That's a no matter fucking what right there.
Yes, especially because I always grew up with the mind state that I would never be the same parent that my parents were to me. I'm gonna break the fucking cycle.
Yeah.
And so we ended up homeless, and me and my cousin had gotten to an argument, and we left, and I didn't have anywhere to go, and I just had 2 premature infants, and we were just couch surfing for a couple months, and it was brutal. I prayed every night that I would die in my sleep. I couldn't fathom giving my kids up, and I couldn't fathom giving up on them. But I just didn't want to feel anything anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't know how the fuck I was gonna keep living. And eventually, my aunts they flew out from Florida to have a memorial for my family,
Okay.
and in October 2021, and they were like, just let us fly the babies back, and you can drive your car out to Florida and just move to Florida because that's the only way that we can be there for you, you
Mhm.
know. And they're my mom's sisters, and
Yeah.
I at that point I was like, all right, God, like you know, I apparently this is what I'm supposed to do because
Yeah.
all other bridges have been burned, you know.
Yeah.
One of my really good friends at the time had called CPS on me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, when the boys were like a month old, CPS
Are
showed
you
up at my
fucking
cousin's
serious?
house. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and I was filled with hatred.
Oh yeah.
Filled.
A dark spot.
Yes, a stabby moment for sure. If I've ever had one, it was
Yeah.
then. And I'm just like, of all things. So yeah, so on my, was that 8 years? Yeah, on my 8 years sober.
Uh-huh.
So that was the day CPS showed up at my house, is August 19th, 2021, and
Oh
then
Jesus.
I went to pee for the county on my sobriety birthday,
Oh,
August
great.
20th, 2021.
Yeah.
I had to go take a piss test for the county to prove that I wasn't on drugs.
Oh my fucking God. Happy Ocho for you.
Yeah. The guy, when he was like, oh yeah, they called for abuse and neglect, I was like, look at me. I literally was like, look at me, dog. I'm the one that's abused and neglected. Are you fucking serious?
I can't believe
There's like baby puke on my shirt. My hair is fucking out of control. I haven't showered in days, and I'm like, dog, look at me. Like,
why would your friend call CPS on you?
because I went to a concert. And
Really?
She didn't think that that was appropriate. Yeah, I mean, I was like, yeah. They're just infants. I just left them in the room by themselves. Like, fuck them. You know, I'm being sarcastic as fuck, obviously. Like, I didn't leave my kids by
Did
themselves.
you take them to the show?
Yeah, like, what are you talking about? I had my homegirl that has a degree in child development and you know, works at a preschool. She was watching them.
Oh no! How dare you?
And I was paying them top dollar too. You know what I mean?
You might as well left that crack pimp fucking watch them.
yeah. You neglectful bitch.
Wow, that's so crazy.
Yeah, how dare you go live life after your whole family died? You know, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to take something off your mind for one night.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking God.
Yeah, what a piece of shit
Disgusting.
you are. I know you didn't get loaded, but fuck you. It's like, man, anybody, oh God, stop adding to the stigma that moms aren't allowed to be individual people that take care of themselves, because that's the only way that you can be a good mom to your kids. And that's one thing that I've learned, and I'm not giving up. Like, I'll die on this hill. Like, I am allowed to be an individual and a mom. I am not a slave to motherhood. I am allowed to take care of myself and be happy, if anything, for my kids, because that's the only way that I can be a good mom. And I've learned that over the past couple of years. So after I got to Florida, I'll wrap it up. I know.
No, it's okay. I know we can go on 5 hours with you, but
all, bro, I'm sorry. I'm getting to the end here, I promise. I already got sober. It's just some gnarly shit has happened, you know, in my sobriety. That I think it's good to touch on, because, you know, if anybody on the planet has an excuse to fucking have relapsed, you know, it's me.
And I literally told you that.
Yeah.
Like maybe multiple times.
And I didn't. Damn. So, you know what I mean? So no excuses.
Yeah. I don't want to fucking hear it.
Yeah. It's just like, get better. Like, you know, take suggestions, get involved. Like, oh my God, the times that I went to conventions, like young people's conventions.
I went to one. really recently.
Yes,
It was
I
fucking
know.
insane.
It was
I, I,
lit.
I
Huh?
couldn't hang, dude. I was like, oh my god.
Just
That
getting
was-
fucked up off sleep dep and energy
dude.
drinks.
Yes. I don't know how many I fucking drank that fucking time. My liver's back to stage 1 fibrosis. No, dude, no, for reals. Yeah, it was so fucking fun. You know that they, you know, all like it was like a giant,
experience.
yeah, it was like a giant party, but fun and
Yes,
fucking sober, and you hear all these great speakers and shit,
Yeah.
and it was really rad too. In the very main meeting, there was like an old ass white lady like with like 55 years, like started the whole the fellowship, you know, the young
Yeah.
people AA fellowship going in there. And I was just like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, I mean, that's like the ultimate like proof right there. You know what I mean?
Yes,
This shit fucking works.
That's exactly that bitch. That's who I want to be.
Yeah, right.
I want to be the 55-year-old
Yeah,
bitch
the
that's
55.
like, yo, I've been sober for 80 years.
Yeah. Roll up in the wheelchair and shit.
Yeah, or the other way around. My bad.
Nah.
That wasn't mathing right.
No,
but
I get what you're saying.
You get me, yeah.
Yeah, you could be 100 and something years old and
Yeah.
still be sober. But yeah, it was so fucking awesome, and I like that's how I really admired that whole
Yes.
thing, man. You could be young and you can be sober.
Absolutely. And those people that I got sober with or that have stayed even connected to me, even the ones that aren't necessarily 100% sober anymore, they are my family.
Mhm.
They brought me food. They checked in with me all the time. You know what I mean? They asked me if there was anything they could do for me. They came and held my kids so I could take a shower, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't know where I would be without the fellowship. Like it saved my life.
Okay.
It has saved my life many a times. In 2019, like, you know, before all this happened, I that toxic relationship I was talking about in the
Yeah.
beginning,
Mhm.
he left me for my best friend, and that
Oh.
shit fucked me all the way
Wow.
off.
Wow.
Speaking of getting stabby.
Ah!
Whoa.
A couple people will
Whoa.
get stabbed here.
This isn't supposed to be happening. I'm fucking sober, you know, for a
yeah.
long time.
Jesus.
The time I was sober for like 7 years. I'm like, why is this happening? But life doesn't, you know, get easier perfect because you get
Yeah.
sober, but it does get worth it.
Yeah.
For certain.
Absolutely.
And so I've been out in Florida for the past 2 years, working at a MAT clinic as a peer specialist. And
Oh, wow.
yeah,
That's fucking cool.
continuously trying to help people. That's one thing I know is that I'm good with people, all types of people, because I've been around all types of people.
Yeah.
And because I've seen addiction from every angle. I've been my own, I mean, I have experienced addiction myself. I have
Yeah.
experienced it as the child of somebody whose parents are doing that. I have been sober in a relationship with a junkie. I
Yeah.
have been, you know, getting loaded in relationships, and I've been a substance use counselor, and I've lost people.
Mhm.
So, you know, on top of my family, about 5 months ago, my best friend Chelsea died from fentanyl poisoning
Oh,
as well.
that's right.
And
Yeah,
that really rocked me too.
that was really sad, and I heard about that from many people, and it's
It
so sad.
it just added like, okay, there's 4 people now that I loved more than most people on this planet that won't get to see my sons grow up, won't get to be at my wedding one day, or, you know, just it's mental fuckery, and it's really hard to like just keep doing the deal, but that's the only thing I know how to do. And like, thank God, like AA has trained my feet so well. I know where the fuck to go. I know where my home is and where my people are and where my family is, even if my blood family can't be here.
Mhm.
And even people like you, Luis, like that have just like shown support in any way, you know, like that really were there when it mattered the most, and
Yeah.
not just for show or for clout, because I know there was, you know, a lot of people that I
yeah,
don't really
yeah.
fuck with like that. They were like, "Oh my god, I've known this girl my whole life," and I'm
Yeah,
like, "No,
yeah,
you fucking have." I mean,
yeah, yeah. That
no, like you
I
just want to be a part of this fuckery. I
I
don't, you know.
I know. I'm familiar with it. I experienced it with my dad. I experienced it with my best friend. All of a sudden, people come and they act like they give a fuck, and then you
Right.
know, a month later, you don't ever fucking see or hear from them again.
Right. Where were all these people at that were gonna supposedly
Yeah,
watch my
yeah,
kids?
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, they'll help you out. They'll, you know,
Come get these kids.
yeah, I get it. They want to talk big, and
Yeah,
it is what it is.
exactly. And so the ones that have really been there, like they mean the world to me. And
Yeah,
my connection with God is like a huge thing. My higher power, if you will. I prefer to call it God, but
yeah.
I don't mind what anybody else calls it. And
Hmm.
I just hope you find that and, you know, clarity. And, you know, I just want people to know that they're worth it. And leaving your loved ones behind is devastating to them.
Hmm.
Devastating. It hurts a lot. And some days are better than others. But through so much faith and hard work and determination, I've been able to stay sober for 11 and a half years. And
Nice. Yeah, you
and I
deserve
was
one of
able
these.
to, yeah.
Yay!
Such a trip. And I was able to move back here, and San Diego is my home, and
Fuck yeah.
I'm so happy to be here. And you know, we're hopefully moving into our place on Monday in Oceanside, and it's just these are the promises coming true,
Fuck
you know,
yeah.
in my life. And there are hard times, and there will always be hard times, but I just, the only silver lining that I can see in all of the loss that I've experienced and all of the trauma that I've experienced is the ability to relate to others and hopefully help people. And I just want to get the word out there that like fentanyl is a motherfucker and it's a murderer, and I just don't want to see anyone go through anything like what I've been through. And I hope that anything that I've said is touched even one person, because like, you know, you can do it. um, I just have to be willing to do a little bit of work and have a little bit of faith.
Yeah.
And my God takes care of the rest. And I'm really grateful. Thank you so much for having
Yeah.
me.
Oh
and
yeah. Well,
fuck
thank you for
fentanyl.
coming. And fuck fentanyl, of
Thank
course.
you.
All day forever.
Forever.
You know, and fuck, I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm so fucking excited of having you as a co-host. It's gonna be
Yes.
fucking lit. All right.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
I again, you know, your story is a powerful one. I got your fucking back. Like I really do. And I really
Thanks, dude.
I
Same.
fucking really appreciate this. All right,
Absolutely.
I'm also gonna do another first right here. I am going to do an official outro. All right. Whoop whoop. Sorry about that. There it is. Bye everybody.